This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Onions sprayed with a pesticide stolen from St. Thomas Farm. Two onion farmers in Hearty, St. Thomas have raised alarm after thieves stole their crops, which were recently sprayed with a pesticide. The news was informed that the robbers stole 10 bags of onions. One of the farmers discovered his crop was stolen sometime around 8 o'clock yesterday morning, following which an alarm was raised, and it was later reported that a neighboring onion farm was also robbed. The farmers say the onions were sprayed on Thursday. The matter has been reported to the St. Thomas Police. Divided opinions concerning minimum wage rates. There remains strongly divided opinions over a proposed free market system that allows employers to set their own rates for minimum wage, with the expectation that this would generate a competition. The suggestion was made recently by President of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce Ian Neto, who argued that the system of the government setting the national minimum wage is not working. The concern was raised that employees continue to be placed at a disadvantage. But the General Secretary at the Union of Technical, Administrative and Supervisory Personnel, UTAPS, St. Patrice Ennis, argues that the system offers protection to minimum wage earners. What it does, it provides a floor for the most vulnerable or the least paid workers in society, and that's the objective of the minimum wage, to protect those categories of workers from abuse. The Act specifically says that employers can pay above, and they do. The market doesn't always protect them, so it is left to the government to do so. We must also remember that this group doesn't necessarily have bargaining power, he said. Meanwhile, the president of the Jamaica Employers Federation, David Wan, says Neto's proposal is feasible, but Jamaica is not yet ready for this type of arrangement. I think it is going to be a phased approach, and I think it is something that we can try to do over time. But I think to do it all at once, it can be disruptive. I believe it should be taken on gradually and not all in one move, Wan said. Former Fla Deputy Chair dials back to Twitter wrath. Tomlinson slams remarks as distraction. One of the island's most respected gender specialists is calling on the country's men to resist the urge to use demeaning or derogatory terms to refer to women. Dr. Opal Adisa Palmer was responding to comments made on social media by former Deputy Chairman of the Firearm Licensing Authority, Dennis Meadows, who seemingly characterized the former People's National Party Youth Organization President Crystal Tomlinson as #BabyMother13 in a Twitter barb on Thursday evening. Tomlinson is the mother of dancehall artist Beenie Man's 13th child. We need to be clear that women's body and what they do with their body is their responsibility, Adisa Palmer stated. They feel they can tell women what to wear or what kind of action they should take with men. And that's really wrong. We need to understand that the historical context of that is as a result of patriarchy thinking that women are to be led and defined, she said. She argues that this was a demonstration of inequality and prejudice. And so for someone in an argument to use that as what they might consider a valid argument to dismiss a woman needs to understand that their action is in fact discriminatory, said Adisa Palmer. Meadows' caustic post was in response to Tomlinson's criticism of an interview on Nationwide News Network. Commenting on the interview, Tomlinson said that Meadows was struggling to sound honest when questioned about accusations made by FLA CEO Shane Darling about the former deputy chair's conduct as an FLA director. Like you struggled to remain #BabyMother13, but failed miserably. My effort was not to convince the likes of you. It's a futile effort to convince those fixed on finding a reason not to believe you, Meadows responded. The backlash was quick, with many Twitter followers saying Meadows as disrespectful and going much too far. Dennis, my vagina and reproductive choices aren't your business. The FLA was your business. Being diligent, fair, and accountable in executing your duties was your business, Tomlinson replied. When the news contacted Meadows yesterday morning, he said that those who knew him well could confirm that by nature he is civil and well-mannered. I respect a man, woman, and a child, but those who dare to question my character or seek to impugn my good name will feel my wrath. I am only human, I am not pretentious, he told the news. Hours later, he bowed to public pressure and apologized for his tweet. On reflection, it's undeserving and unbecoming. It's an affront to women's reproductive rights and choice. Mr. Jenny has never been a part of my being. Given the circumstances, I am not in the right state of mind, he tweeted 16 hours after the initial post, adding that he was unreservedly apologizing to Tomlinson and motherhood. Speaking with the news, Tomlinson, a junior shadow minister on gender issues for the opposition PNP, said the country should not allow Meadows to use sexism, misogynist remarks and aggression to distract her from the matter. The allegations made by Shane Darling against him are damaging, and should cause every Jamaican to be awaiting a credible response from him, she said. Efforts to get a further comment from Tomlinson following the apology proved futile. JCSA threatens industrial action concerning salary issues. The Jamaica Civil Service Association is threatening industrial action if the Finance Ministry does not meet with it by Friday to settle outstanding salary issues. The JCSA says there are items in the wage and fringe benefits package for which there has been no agreement since 2017. It explains that it is concerned the government intends to use the old rates when adjusting salaries under the compensation review to be implemented in the upcoming fiscal year. The JCSA says there has been significant decrease in the value of those rates since they were established in 2017, and to use them as the basis of any reconstructing of compensation will cause a real decline in the wages of the 30,000 public sector employees it represents. The JCSA warns that it cannot guarantee normality in the public service if there is no meeting before Friday to settle the claims for 2017 to present. Woman involved in Manchester double shooting. It's been reported that a woman was involved in Thursday's double shooting in Greenville, Manchester, which claimed the life of 76-year-old Teddy Clark. The other man who was injured in the attack remains hospitalized. It was reported that about 5 p.m., a woman and 2 men went to a shop in the area known as Texas and posed as customers. They later opened gunfire on a man as he approached the establishment. Mr. Clark was also shot and died at the scene. Investigators believe Mr. Clark was not the intended target. The 3 attackers escaped in a vehicle. NEPA issues stop order on sand mining in Treasure Beach. A stop order has been issued by the National Environment and Planning Agency in relation to the mining of sand dunes in Great Bay in Treasure Beach, St. Elizabeth. Residents had expressed the fear the community could become flooded as a result of the mining. One resident said he noticed the mining about a month ago and is concerned that a likely flood could force them to evacuate their community. 3 days ago, the Jamaica Environment Trust also raised alarm at the mining activity. It said the sand dunes are estimated to be 3,000 to 5,000 years old, and their removal may have significant consequences for the nearby coastal communities. It noted that coastal sand dunes protect the communities and critical infrastructure like roads and bridges from storms. JET also stated that the area is zoned as a residential use and no mining or quarrying should be happening. JFJ, outraged by FLA corruption allegations, calls for urgent probe. Jamaicans for Justice has expressed outrage over damning allegations that the Firearms Licensing Authority issued gun permits to individuals of questionable character with alleged ties to criminality, including organized crime. In a news release, the JFJ said even more shocking is the alleged involvement of a former high-ranking government official and the purported inaction, almost scant regard from the responsible ministry in tackling the long-standing issue. JFJ said the current allegations made by the FLA leadership echoes similar allegations leveled against the state agency in 2017. The regularity of these allegations is suggestive of a larger issue at the FLA. Not only has the state failed to act, but the allegations leveled undermine legitimate crime-fighting efforts, contributing to the lack of trust within society that fuels the crime monster. A case in point is a recent revelation by former deputy chairman of the FLA, who by his own admission stated he had knowledge of an acquaintance allegedly bribing an official to secure a firearm license. One has to ask the questions, what is expected of our public officials when such an affront to our laws are known to them? Is there an obligation to report? The JFJ said. The latest allegations of corruption at the FLA were made by the agency's CEO, Shane Darling, at a press conference on Tuesday. He said when he joined the FLA in June 2017, he had noticed that people of questionable character were being granted firearm licenses. He said a review by MOCA and the FLA administration, headed by him, discovered hundreds of criminal elements from Westmoreland, St. James, Trelawney, Manchester, and Clarendon who received the gun license, although the police had warned against granting any such license to the individuals. Darling said his checks so far revealed more than 200 such cases of people with a criminal trace and a criminal conviction who have been granted firearm license. Among them, he said, was a corporate area don who got 4 gun license. In its news release, the JFJ said it has for years maintained that successive administrations have failed to wholesomely tackle crime, including targeting the highly connected or powerful behind the criminal networks. JFJ contends that among the reasons criminals and the criminality continue to thrive is in part because those in authority have not had the desire or the will to take the necessary steps to deal with the corruption. We believe far too often reviews are conducted, reports written, with little done to bring resolve to these issues. Instead, the focus has been on band-aid-driven public relations measures. JFJ strongly condemns what can only be described as state-sanctioned criminality, where public officials are involved in issuing gun permits to known criminals. Unfortunately, this is a long-standing issue plaguing the FLA, with very little change over the years. The operation of the agency amounts to cyclical madness, as the same problems persist despite a change in leadership, suggestive of a systematic problem, the release stated. It said the latest series of events speaks to a wider issue of how state boards are appointed. The time has come for the FLA to be completely removed from executive control, with the agency being a body of parliament and the board members appointed by the Governor-General following consultation with both the Leader of Opposition and the Prime Minister, the JFJ said. It also called for the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency, MOCA, and the Integrity Commission to immediately conduct a probe into the allegations of impropriety at the FLA. The probe must indicate who received the permit and the permits subsequently revoked. In addition, agency officials involved must be prosecuted. Justice requires action if the cycle of corruption and the links to criminality are to be broken. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.